I know things have been going bad for Hollywood, but I didn't realize how bad things have actually got until I realized that they unironically pressed the in case of emergency release Harvey Weinstein button. But hey, for all those people that are complaining about the ugly chicks that are in, most Hollywood productions, this is, probably a tip of the cap to them. But this is not something that I thought anybody was really expecting. Not something that I personally would have seen coming. Unfortunately, not a similar sentiment many of the chicks that were on Harvey's casting couch could also say. But that's the thing, right? Going over the evidence of this case and understanding that he is a linchpin, he is the central figure in the Me Too movement, my mind starts to wander. Inquiring minds do want to search, did Harvey actually do anything untowards? Now, I understand that there is a stigma, and whenever you want to broach the topic of maybe he was the fall guy, okay? Like, it was an open secret that he was kind of running a bit of a high-end brothel, okay? I'm not saying that he's not skeevy or anything like that. I'm just also wondering, is this a Bill Cosby type situation? Because that was another major pillar in this entire Me Too farce. And when it came out that his prosecution was a bit of a clown show, and by bit, I mean completely and totally unconstitutional, and the facts of the case were, we liked to party a little bit. We'd pop a couple of lewds because it was the style at the time. There was nothing they were really doing that was all that illegal. It was consenting adults where a few decades had been put between the act itself that didn't end up manifesting into anything long term, and then a bunch of post-mortem regret, which, oh boy, isn't that kind of a hallmark of all of this stuff now going forward? So are we finally coming to a conclusion that this has all been predicated on a lie? I guess we're going to have to find out when Harvey goes back to court, because this doesn't mean that he's getting off scot-free, okay? He's not going to be back in any studio C-suite here by the beginning of next week. No. This just simply means that there's going to be a retrial of his case, and I know I'm going to be paying closer attention to this, because I think that this is more or less one of those three sides to every story type situation. Yours, mine, and the truth. So how safe is Harvey Weinstein's conviction in an LA trial? Well, let's take a look. With the appeals court overturning Harvey Weinstein's conviction in New York, all eyes are now looking towards the integrity of a California judge's decision that led to a Los Angeles jury verdict finding him guilty of certain things. Weinstein's fate may rest on a key distinction between the two states in cases dealing with SA. California allows courts to introduce evidence that demonstrated defendant's propensity to commit crimes even when the allegations haven't led to formal charges. Oh, so that's kind of like pre-prosecution prejudice. How does that not taint a jury? And when it comes to cases like this, and I know I talk about these instances quite a bit, normally when these allegations pop up, I run it through a multi-pronged test to see basically where I'm going to fall before all of the cards eventually do come out, and you can make a more educated guess. Take a look at the accusation itself, the people that are involved, and you think, okay, is there a possibility that this could have happened? Were they in proximity of one another? Was this a situation that was totally fabricated, completely and totally out of the blue? For one, I take the Conor McGregor Miami situation where it's like, okay, yeah, they were in proximity of one another, but things really, physically could not have gone down the way that they were being recounted, and lo and behold, ta-da, it ended up happening that way. But in some of the case of Weinstein's accusations, it's like, yeah, okay, everything seems to be on the up and up when it comes to an act potentially happening. So then you got to run through to step 2. Take a look at the people at play. And it's like, okay, cool. Is there anything that seems kind of untowards where you have a young, gullible starlets? Don't want to take anything away from them. Obviously, they're of legal age. This isn't one of these arguments that would be, well, he had a lot of power and he tried to lord his influence. No. These are chicks trying to get on in the industry. They're making their own choices. And then on the other side of that, you got kind of lecherous Harvey Weinstein, which brings you to the next lens that you have to view this stuff through. Does he look like somebody who would be doing this if he didn't have the position that he did? And yeah, normally when I'm looking at these situations, you're taking a look at high-end athletes. You're taking a look at the Trevor Bauer types, like I said previously, Conor McGregor, and it's like, do they really have to steep down to these levels in order to hit 8s, 9s, and 10s? Absolutely not. The Tate brothers situations. Do they have to hold people against their will in order to force women to do things that they wouldn't normally do? Absolutely not. They have women beating down their doors in Romania. So that just, it doesn't make any sense at all whatsoever. And then you got Harvey Weinstein. Looking at him right there, it's like, yeah, kind of. So that's probably why a lot of these allegations, and then of course, yeah, you have a court's decision that he is in fact guilty of what he was charged with, leading to some credibility on this. But then of course, you had everything snowball over the top of that when this was just simply a Hollywood problem, an open Hollywood secret, knowing that the only solution to this would be a Hollywood solution. But we also know the way that they work, and they were never going to take responsibility for their own actions. So I'm just thinking, are we at a situation now? Because you would have thought that there were many other instances of many of these types of accusations, all just completely and totally crumbling under the disinfectant light of day. Are we finally going to see the dissolving of Me Too now that it's ruined so many lives? And now that Hollywood is so screwed that they're going to have to go and try to retroactively undo the damage that they brought on themselves. It's very strange, okay? So Weinstein's fate may rest on a key distinction, yes, between the two states. We already talked about that. New York, meanwhile, only allows such evidence solely if it's necessary. We're talking about the prejudicial evidence coming in, pretrial evidence, obviously. Only allows such evidence solely when it's necessary to provide history on a defendant's motive, intent, or common scheme to carry out alleged crimes. So yeah, things that are actually important to the trial taking place instead of just, yeah, well, we've heard stuff. If New York prosecutors fail to secure a conviction on a retrial, that subtle difference could swing whether Weinstein, 72, is released from prison or likely spends majority of the remainder of his life behind bars. Legal observers who spoke with The Hollywood Reporter said that the disgraced movie mogul's upcoming appeal of a jury verdict in LA faces long odds. Yeah, but that's just retrials, and that's just appeals in general. Appeals are for losers, but this is Harvey Weinstein, okay? A ding. He does have several connections. Ding, ding. Was it possible that he wins this? Ding, 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 ding. Anyway, so the appeals court rightly overturns Harvey Weinstein's New York conviction. Oh, it was written by John Nolte. Ding. Anyways, disgraced Hollywood mogul Harvey Weinstein enjoyed a huge legal victory Thursday after New York's highest court overturned his 2020 conviction on 2 felony essays. 71-year-old Weinstein was sentenced to 16 years. 16 years for 2 felony essays, huh? Weird. It's almost like this was set up for this exact situation for us to arrive at, and currently resides in Rome, New York prison. The far-left New York Times reports of a 4-3 vote in New York's Court of Appeals, their highest court, ruled that the trial judge should not have allowed prosecutors to call as witnesses a series of women who said Mr. Weinstein had done things to them, but those accusations were not part of the charges against him. Oh, yeah, no, that doesn't seem very fair at all. Once again, hearkening back to the Bill Cosby situation, he gave a deposition and it was never supposed to be used in trial until he got brought to trial and it was used and a major part of his conviction. See where there was a bit of a problem? The appeals court identified additional errors and decided that Weinstein had not received a fair trial, which is true. This should have been a 7-0 decision to overturn. Yeah, but this is also New York at the same time, so I understand the trepidation. At this point, Manhattan's district attorney, Trump prosecutor Alvin Bragg, can choose to retry Weinstein or give up and ship the infamous Oscar-winning producer to California. In 2022, Weinstein was found guilty in doing things to a woman in Beverly Hills and sentenced to 16 years. This whole fiasco strikes me as a classic case of framing a guilty man. Yeah, no, it is beyond outrageous that a prosecutor was allowed to parade a series of women before the jury, make unproven claims of misconduct against Weinstein that goes beyond prejudicial and directly to rigging a trial. At the same time, I was shocked the judge allowed this, but in a witch hunt fever of Me Too, there was a lot more concerns about appeasing the mob than honoring the United States Constitution. or a basic sense of fairness, which is kind of where I end up at. Because yeah, do I think that Harvey Weinstein did some scummy things? Yes. Do I think a lot of the things that he's being accused of and has committed in the past may or may not have been unfairly or uncharitably framed? I very much think so, okay? Because like I've stated before, and like everybody knows, it was a big open secret in Hollywood. Young starlets wouldn't get put on until they went and visited Harv. Who was it? Meryl Streep said that Harvey Weinstein is God? Because yeah, he was the tastemaker. And you know what? Pretty good taste, okay? A young Jennifer Lawrence, still, bitch can't still act her way out of a wet paper bag, but back in the cut, not a bad pick. While you might have your opinions about quid pro quo relationships, I'm gonna tell you what, okay? He puts a proposition out there and you have the ability to say no. You're an adult. There's nothing illegal about that. This is all about this retracted consent, trying to wish away and shirk responsibilities for your sexual past in order to just try to attract a new type of attention. And see all of these newfound Christo thoughts that are out there just shedding their OnlyFans ways in order to take up the Bible for a new grift. I'll be interested to see where this goes, because ultimately, I have no idea. I really have no idea. Yeah, the appeal does have long odds. It is constitutionally sound that this would end up getting picked up and he would receive a fair trial. I'm just wondering, because we've been trying to figure out what exactly is going to be the straw that breaks the Me Too camel's back. And if the camel himself is the one that collapses, well, it's got to go this far. Hey man, I'm here for it, as long as we finally get a conclusion to this decades-long witch hunt. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.